On this week's episode, is Comic-Con still the event you must see? The old guard is heating up Netflix, and is this the death of Xbox Live Gold? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate you listening out there to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We truly appreciate it. You can also always get a hold of us at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. We're now on TikTok, Pop Culture Cosmos. So Pop Culture Cosmos on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and of course, Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com as well. Hopefully you get a chance to check out our awesome shows on Lakers Fast Break. I've been doing a ton of interviews there as we're previewing the upcoming NBA season or what's left of it. So I hope you get a chance to check that out. Plus, check out all the great stuff that we're doing right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He's the Josh of pop culture for Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to check out what he's doing today at popculturecosmos.com. His awesome podcasts, the Super BS podcasts, and also as well Topicocalypse, and of course his book, Congratulations You Suck, which you can get right now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
What is up? What is up? This is a big week. You know, we got Comic-Con. We got the Xbox Games Conference. We're supposed to hear. I saw the good folks at Microsoft said there's going to be a Halo announcement in 6 days. Lots of good stuff coming up this week.
I hope so, my friend. I hope so. And that's one of the things we're going to touch on when it comes to Comic-Con. Of course, like you said, the Xbox Live Conference is coming up as well. Hopefully we'll get to see a lot of good stuff there. It's now Xbox, your turn. The ball is now in your court. Let's see what you can do because PlayStation 5 has already gone ahead and put down its money as far as all the stuff that's coming to it. So let's see what Xbox is going to do. And we're going to talk a little bit about Xbox and the impending death of Xbox Live Gold coming up later in the broadcast. Plus also as well, Noe and Fine is scheduled to be on the show to go ahead and drop just a few minutes of knowledge about what's going on with the latest Paper Mario. Also as well, we're going to be talking about the old guard. It's not as old as you might think. It's brand new to Netflix, and it's rising up the all-time charts for the top 10 original movies for Netflix. We're going to tell you how well it's doing coming up later in the program. And also as well, we're going to be talking about free. With the frustration and the growing prices that are up there when it comes to having to get all these streaming services. Because we once had an age where we were just in free television, where there's just only a few channels, but it was free, but we always wanted more channels. Now that we got more channels, it seems like there's a trend possibly coming back into free streaming services. So we're going to be talking about that coming up later in the program as well. But first, my friend, it is a Comic-Con preview. I'm going to hit you up with the first thing before we go into detail on any of the days. And I'm bringing up right now as far as the Comic-Con at home, the schedule that they have. Wednesday, they've got some stuff going on. They've got a great schedule as far as a lot of different events going there. And I'm showing it to our fans out there on Facebook Live, all that's going on. But I wanted to ask you this, my friend. Comic-Con is going to have no Marvel and no DC. They're both doing their own events this year. Is that going to be a problem? And does that mean that you're probably not going to go ahead and watch anything at Comic-Con this year?
Well, they're not. It's not that they're not going to have a presence per se. Like they're still doing, there are things revolving around DC and Marvel properties. Like there's a reunion of the animated X-Men series. There's a reunion for Constantine, the 15-year anniversary, which would be cool if he made an announcement saying like, hey, I'm going to do the Justice League Dark movie. That would be rad. There's also like a Wonder Woman type thing. I think it's for an animated film, but it's not yeah, we're not getting like the big DC film panels, big Marvel film panels, and that's so. I'm looking at this schedule, and first of all, let me ask you this, and this is going to show like how little marketing they've done for this Comic Con thing. How do you watch this? Do you have to pay for it? Do you have to buy tickets? Is it just something that's online for free?
It's just online for free, to the best of my knowledge. So maybe there's some pay avenues so that the Comic Con can get some Denola, if you know what I mean, some cashola. I don't know if there's anything outside of that, but yes, I know for the most part that a lot of these panels are going to be free. So that's a good thing in a sense that everybody will be seeing these things live. And as it happens, obviously a lot of these shows, these sneak previews are going to happen. There's going to be a lot of trailers going out. There's just not going to be anything as hard hitting as what Marvel and DC can usually offer. And that, I think, I think there lies the problem when it comes to whether or not Comic-Con will have the same impact it always does each and every year.
Right, and that's what draws people to. And it's not. I honestly, I don't think that it's the panels per se that draws people to Comic Con. I think it's the environment, the stars, the ability to dress up, all the comic retailers, hawking their wares around the expo, not the expo, the convention center. Like that is what brings people to Comic Con. And I'm looking at a lot of this. Like some of the stuff looks interesting. I'll be honest. Like it would be cool to see. They're talking about the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe. It'd be cool to say, hey, maybe we're making our own live action Tarzan, like straight from the Edgar Rice Burroughs estate. We're teaming up with so and so to bring another Tarzan or a John Carter or something like that. And even looking at the
I love the
concept
Charlize Theron, and we're going to talk about more about her in a second. I love this one, Evolution of a Badass.
Evolution of a Badass. Yeah, that looks really cool. Like a lot of this stuff, though, I'm looking at it in the same way. I saw a lot of the panels. When we were at the Level Up Expo, a lot of panels on like how to do manga drawings and how to do cosplay and stuff like that. That's what a lot of this stuff looks like. A lot of this looks like it's going to be put on by people that have podcasts, and it's like that's the vibe I'm getting, not like uh the big presence. You're right, Marvel, DC. Like I'm looking on here, there's no Dark Horse isn't on there, so I wonder if they're doing their own thing too, or all the big comic publishers, none of them are going to be here. And that's I wouldn't say concerning, but it just like it removes the excitement, the buzz that you feel when going to Comic-Con or like thinking about Comic-Con.
Absolutely. And I know it's not going to have the same effect or draw that it has with people. And like you said, they haven't done the greatest job of marketing it. But then again, in the past, my friend, San Diego Comic-Con really didn't have to go ahead in recent years and market it themselves. They were so reliant on everyone else, all the acts, all the shows, all the movie companies, all the production companies, them doing the work for them. And then also just the hype of everybody, it sells out instantly as far as the tickets were concerned each and every year. You couldn't get a ticket there unless you knew somebody or just that pretty much, or you bought it like at several $100s more than what you get. I mean, because the tickets sold out instantly, and it was just so hard to get a ticket there. I've been trying for years to get press passes to it. I'm trying to get even just regular passes to it, and it's just been so difficult to do so. So now you have the situation where they need to go ahead and help market it. And I think that's the problem with that. They weren't used to that type of situation because Marvel, DC, and all these other production companies, they usually do a great job of marketing it themselves.
Yeah, because they have those things saying, "Hey, we're doing a panel at Comic-Con," and things like that. I might be wrong here, but in my own opinion, and this is one of the shows that I blame for Comic-Con becoming the thing, the monster that it has, is Big Bang Theory, right? Big Bang Theory is not on the air anymore, and so they're not. Every episode has some kind of reference to Comic-Con that had a huge following, and they're not talking about Comic-Con anymore either. It's just like it's I don't know. And I look at this like, again, I think half of the fun of going to Comic-Con is being able to dress up or buy comic books. And I don't think that this is going to, I'm sure there'll be a lot of views for a lot of this stuff, but I don't think it's going to happen on the days they're scheduled. I think if it pops up on YouTube, it'll be something that gradually gets more views over time, but it's not going to be the event that they think it is.
And that would be a shame, because the fact that it is now for the first time going to be truly accessible to a great degree to fans all over the world, because we're going to get a little bit of a taste of it more than what we see at just select panels and whatnot. Now we will go ahead and, for many of these panels, be able to go ahead and look inside and see what they're all about, even from the most mundane or low-key panels to all the way to some of the higher profile panels that are there. So I'm hoping I will go ahead and get a chance to take a look at least some of these panels, because I want to get the kind of feel for what they're doing and what it's all about. But you're right. To me, it's lost a little bit of that luster when you don't have your big 1-2 punch, your big Coke and Pepsi, your big to do when it comes to not having a DC or not having a Marvel there in an official 100. Oh, well, there you go. Pepsi. Oh, sorry. I don't drink Coke anymore, so else I'd flash a Coke there. But I'm just saying that right now it's kind of lost a little bit of its flash. And the other thing I want to ask you is this, with the same thing happening to E3, as you and I have seen over the past 2 years with certain individual publishers, i.e. Sony and some others, pulling out or doing something else around in and around that same time. Could this be the start of a downfall for Comic-Con? Because if Marvel and DC really like their standalone events, I have a feeling they're going to go ahead continuously year over year. And the fact is, with Marvel, you still got D23 on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm curious how that's going to work, but yeah, I think that COVID-19, due to the lack of people being able to get together, I think that's the nail in the coffin. And either that, or do you think that maybe it was an inevitability that these companies were going to outgrow these cons and conferences? I look at something like Sony, right? We talk about that. Sony is, they have their big show at E3 every year, and then they just kind of sit on the floor for all this time. Yeah, they have people lining up to play their games, but ever since they opened E3 to the public, the people who are supposed to be in there writing about the games can't do it because they have to wait in line forever to do stuff like that. And with Marvel, like, yeah, how long do you think it would have been until they outgrew Comic-Con? It's a question of like, how much money can I make if I tried this on my own, and is it worth the risk?
It could be worth the risk for a lot of these people that are out there, or these publishers, these companies that are out there. What we talk about all the time with E3, I'd love to see them get back together for E3, because I think E3 still is that one event for the video game industry that unites the press and the media and fans and casual fans alike all in one event. So it's not as advantageous for a PlayStation or Microsoft to do their own events. I don't think they get across to enough people as much as they do if they do it within the confines of E3. Now, when it comes to Comic-Con, that could be different for Marvel, because Marvel and DC are large enough, especially with Marvel, to the point where they can have their own entity, their own platform, and go ahead and make it's just as big a splash as if they were at Comic-Con. So I think it's kind of a little bit different there, because I've been a very great proponent of E3 still solidifying it together. But when it comes to Comic-Con, I think maybe DC and Marvel, in the long run, may be best suited to go ahead and have it separately outside of Comic-Con. And that would hurt Comic-Con greatly. That would hurt some of the luster that's there, because Comic-Con has been built upon all these entities in Hollywood and mainstream media, all from all around the world, congregating together to go ahead and share the love of pop culture. And if Marvel and DC does branch out on a permanent basis outside of what you were talking about. I mean, there's still a little bit of branches from each that are involved within the confines of Comic-Con, even this year. But the major entities when it comes to, and the major announcements that comes when it comes to DC and Marvel, if it starts to branch out permanently in their own platforms, I think that's going to be a bad sign for Comic-Con going forward.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like, look, if they see growth and profit from something like this, and it's that could be the end. You know, that could be them branching out, and then the end of like Comic Con, the end of E3. Like they would have to E3 and Comic Con would have to focus. Like I see on this page here, like we have the Comic Con schedule. We have a lot of like indie publishers doing things here, right? Panels. They have IDW doing a panel for kids. It's like this is the chance for the smaller publishers to kind of get out and get known, and I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if they can do it right, then it could be a great thing for people who haven't been in the spotlight before. Look at how much of Comic-Con revolves around Marvel, how much of E3 revolves around Xbox and PlayStation. Like you don't really get, if you're a smaller developer or a smaller writer, you don't really get this kind of opportunity.
No, you don't really get that type of opportunity where you're still able to go ahead and reach a lot of people. And as I was showing while you were speaking, some of the events that are taking place during the course of this upcoming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday deal at Comic-Con, it's going to be interesting to see if there's going to be some announcements and there's going to be some reveals and there's going to be some trailers being shown off. That's a given. But will it have the same kind of impact as if it were a year with Marvel and DC? This may be a good thing for some smaller entities, some TV shows, some movies that could make a real impression, and ones that may not make it as big of an impression if Marvel and DC were there. Because, as you know, let's say a movie like Tenet. We're all waiting for that to come out, but they have a trailer there that they want to show off at Comic-Con later this week. I don't know for sure if they are or anything like that. I'm just using them as an example. But let's say they do, it now will have a much bigger impact because it will be one of the higher profile outlets that's going to be there, as opposed to on a year, let's say, when Marvel shows off the Eternals trailer or DC shows off the Wonder Woman 84 trailer. It gets bombarded by all these other trailers. So if you're doing something independent with a different IP, this might be something you might be able to take advantage of, at least for the short term right now, if Marvel and DC don't come back.
And I right, and I also think that like this gives Comic-Con an opportunity to be what it was meant to be, like a trade show and a chance for people just to show off what they've been working on. And with all like the buzz, with like Legendary Pictures and Warner Brothers and Marvel and even some Disney stuff popping up at Comic-Con all the time, like you're selling tickets to people who are just going to watch those things. They're not out walking around the floor at all. And I think that could actually be, assuming they go back to a live format, I think that this could actually be a good thing in the long run, not having Marvel and DC there. But I mean, and still have them there in some capacity. Like I would have representatives there, but keeping the big panels out, I think could be a good thing for them.
Well, if you're interested in seeing what's on the slate for Comic-Con, just head over to the official Comic-Con International San Diego page at comic-con.org. That's comic-con.org. It's right there for you. It has the display of what's coming up. I'm going to be excited because there's still some things there I want to see, and I'm hoping to get a chance to check out. I'm hoping that they're like right there on the marquee, what it says right there on the front page, that the boys hopefully will be showing off some stuff. I'd love to see that going on, and plus some other great series and movies that are still going to be there showcasing their wares. So I'm looking forward to it, even though it's going to have not the same panache as it would normally would be without Marvel or DC there in a major fashion. But there's still a lot of great things that people should be looking for at this year's Comic-Con. What are your thoughts out there on this year's Comic Con? Are you going to be watching the event now that it's pretty much going to be a virtual event shown to the entire world on the internet? Share us your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com, and also as well Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And now Pop Culture Cosmos on TikTok as well. Well, my friend, before we go ahead and get into our discussion of Ghost of Tsushima and Xbox Live Gold, I want to go ahead and say that we're now officially Facebook streamers, I guess, Facebook gaming streamers or whatnot. That if you are inclined or so inclined, you can now go ahead and send us out some stars and some subscriptions. And just we truly appreciate it if you can. That's Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. But yeah, you'll get to see our streams now. And now we're, I guess, part of that whole Facebook gaming community, game streaming community. So we really want to go ahead and thank Facebook for that. And if you can, please give us that shout out, subscriptions, stars, whatever you can do to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. It would be truly appreciated. But my friend, you've been playing some Ghost of Tsushima. I wish you were streaming that, my friend, because I know a lot of people would be interested to see what you have to offer when it comes to Ghost, or when it comes to the Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, I am gonna do some streaming. I've just been very sporadic. Sorry, in my my time playing it. So, but yeah, so I'll tell you about Ghost of Tsushima. It is a very beautiful game. Really beautiful color palettes. I don't know if you guys saw that in the trailers, but with the way the cherry blossoms and the way that the grass moves and the red leaves falling, like it's a very very beautiful game. Like it feels. Remember, it's 2008's Prince of Persia game where it was all done in watercolors. Like that's kind of what this feels like, but it's crisp and defined.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, it looks really beautiful. It looks just awesome. The detail, to me, the fields and the foliage. I know people are just going like, why is he looking at the plants? To me,
Yeah.
it's something that the way they're blowing in the wind, the way that they're rustling when he's walking through them or running through them or doing anything interacting with them is to me just like I said to you before, Josh. I mean, we're seeing some of the finest work of this generation because it's at the end of the generation, which you will usually find is that these developers know how to maximize these consoles.
Well, I feel like they put a lot, like they truly pushed. I'm not sure what if it's Unreal or what was used to make it, but they truly pushed both the development software and the PlayStation 4's capabilities to its max for this game. And I haven't had like the helicopter problem like Last of Us Part 2 has had, but I don't know, like it feels unlike the world feels unlike anything I've ever played on the PlayStation 4. And like, that's saying a lot because I only play like the bigger games on PlayStation 4. I don't go or on PlayStation. I don't go back and play some of the smaller ones. Like I play the hits.
Mm-hmm.
And this game definitely like it is beautiful, and onto gameplay and narrative and stuff like that. It's one of those games where like you really have to like Sucker Punch did an amazing job. And like I said on the last episode, I think it speaks leagues that a game like this that is based on Japanese culture made by Americans would do well in Japan. Japanese game reviewers are giving it very high praise.
Well, let's
And
see how it
that
sells first. That's the big key because there's a tendency for American games, U.S. games that don't sell well, especially if you're Microsoft. You know how well Microsoft does not sell or does not do so well in Japan.
yeah, I mean Microsoft has its ups and downs, but it's with this game though, it's like it's one you have to I want to talk about the narrative for a second. Like it's one of those things where usually with open world games, like people like to come and go out of them. They like to
Mm-hmm.
play for a little bit, play something else, come back to this at a later date. This is one of those games where you can't do that. And it's not just because like the game is so immersive, it's because like you want to play more. You want to know more about the world. You want to know more about the characters and this guy's life because it feels it's cool and it's fun and it's like it's also tragic at the same time learning this guy's backstory. and you really feel for the character. And like I keep wanting to go back and play this game. Like usually I'll play 4 or 5 games at once, but like I want to play this game even like right now as we're talking. And and as for the gameplay, you it's cool because the weapons have an upgrade system, but it doesn't just let you do it. Like in Assassin's Creed, you can go up to like a blacksmith, or you can go up to someone who does the dye on clothes or whatever it is, and they automatically give you access to all that stuff. Like depending on where you are, how far you are in the game, or what your level is, like you can get access to certain things. On this one, they don't let you do that. You have to do quests. You have to invest in characters and character development in order to get access to these upgrade systems. And I think I've never played a game like that before. And it feels more satisfying when you finally, you rescue the priest, and then you get access to the bow and arrows, and you do all these missions to gather materials, and then you get access to upgrading your weapons and armor and stuff like that. Like I've never played a game that immersive before, and it feels so satisfying. So it makes me want to go and do all the side quests. And they don't call them side quests, they call them stories. Go explore this guy's story and this guy's story. So it doesn't make it feel like you're doing chores. It makes it feel like you're expanding the universe. And I think that is really, really cool. And last thing I want to talk about here is the combat. What have you seen? What are your thoughts just watching the combat from someone who hasn't played it?
Well, I've heard about the lack of a lock-on feature, and I think that's something that people are I think that's going to be divisive. Some people like the challenge of not being able to lock on one opponent and having the situation where you're going to have to try and think fast and react quickly. Some others just like the easy concept of going ahead and just focusing, probably like me, just focusing on one aspect and trying to finish off that opponent before you go on to the next. Because in video games, a lot of times we like being handheld like that. But I want to hear your thoughts on the combat. I mean, that's the main thing about it, because from what I've seen, the combat has been very fluid. But again, when you're playing through it and the fact that you don't have a lock-on feature, is that a hindrance, or is that something you find as an extra challenge?
It's an extra challenge, but I also think it's helpful because back to Assassin's Creed, for example, like it's you have, when you're getting attacked by people, you get attacked, one person attacks you, then another person attacks you. They don't all you don't have multiple attacks at once. In this game, you do. So you have to dodge, you have to reflect, or deflect, you have to do counterattacks. Like I think a lot of people saw that this was a samurai game, and they were expecting to go into it the same way one approaches a hack and slash like Devil May Cry. They're going to it just expecting to be able to just like swing away, dodge, roll, swing some more, do combos and stuff like that. That's not how this game works. Like you have to be, just like I'm sure the samurai were, you have to be very strategic in how you attack, how you deflect, how you approach different things. You can bring your bow out while you're fighting. You can hide from the bushes. They have these things where as soon as you go into conflict, you can you challenge one person, and if you win that duel, it makes the enemies just a little bit easier. Like there's a lot in the game that, though it doesn't have the feel of like your normal hack and slash game, like Dynasty Warriors, Devil May Cry, things like that, it feels more satisfying because you're not having your handheld, like you're having to figure out how to do things on your own. And I think it really takes the game one step further in immersing you in this character.
Well, definitely something that people are going to have to go ahead and check out. It's a game that has done very well. I'm hoping it will follow in the same footsteps as The Last of Us Part 2, which is now, I think, from what I'm seeing on the sales charts, because it was reported earlier this week that based off the last 12 months, it's already in its first few weeks in the top 10 of the past 12 months for video games. So Last of Us Part 2 has done so well. I think it's probably already one of the fastest selling PlayStation exclusives of all time for the PlayStation 4. So that's great news for that game. And if this game can follow anywhere near in its footsteps, that'll be a great thing indeed, because we're now seeing some of the best works available for this generation on the tail end. And we're seeing these developers maximize this console as best they can on its way out, essentially. I mean, there's still going to be games made for the PlayStation 4 with mine for at least the next 2-3 years at least. So let's not go ahead and bury the PlayStation 4 yet. But we're seeing the best intentions of these developers before the PlayStation 5 comes on the scene, and the Ghost of Tsushima looks like it's going to be a quality title that people can go ahead and get at any point in time and have great fun with. What are your thoughts out there on the Ghost of Tsushima? We'd love to hear your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Plus also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Pop Culture Cosmos on TikTok as well. But my friend, there's still more to come. And in fact, we're also going to have Noah Ian Fine come on later in the show, drop some knowledge on us on what's going on with the latest Paper Mario. But I wanted to talk to you right now about Xbox Live Gold. Xbox very quietly discontinued its 12-month cards and 12-month program out there for its membership. Still has the Xbox Live Game Pass, but Xbox Live Gold is now only available in 1 and 3 month subscriptions, which could be a very telling sign that the future is not going to be with Xbox Live Gold when the Xbox Series X comes out. So I want to hear your thoughts, my friend. Is this going to be the impending doom and the impending death for something that I appreciated? Now, mind you, you had to have liked the free games that came every month to it. So that's the neither there. It did also give you access for the multiplayer. So they're going to have to figure out another way to go ahead and allow people to have access to multiplayer games. But I want to hear your thoughts on possibly the impending death of Xbox Live Gold.
You know, I read about it, and there's really not enough detail about it for me to really speculate. You know, my first thought was like maybe they're going to do there's something they're going to be doing in terms of like connecting it to Facebook, you know, because they just got that partnership. Maybe they're going to make that part of like the Facebook games,
the
platform or
platform,
whatever it is. Yeah, and that's that was my first thought, because I'm sitting here thinking like, this is Xbox Live. This is a service that's been, it's been here for gamers for a long time. I've had it since its inception, and it's the easiest, dashboard and setup that I have ever seen in my life. Like, I love it. You can just invite someone to a party, you can scroll through games. So I wonder if it's not Xbox Live Gold, what's it going to be? And, the most logical conclusion here is it's going to have something to do with Facebook.
Well, that's a good guess. And please, if you have those stars handy, please, if you can send them out to us and send them some love, we would truly appreciate it. And we'll hopefully get a chance to see that. And thank you on the air for doing that. But Xbox Live Gold is something that's been around for a long time. Do you remember getting the set back with the original Xbox with the airplane game, and you had the headset, the little headset too with it, and then you remember hooking it in for Halo 2? I mean, I remember that, my friend, before they started giving free games. And to me, that was what Xbox Live Gold is. The first memories I have is getting the whole kit. And then remember, just for, like I've said before on the air, 2 years straight playing nothing but Halo 2 on Xbox Live. So having Xbox Live Gold for me was a must for most of my console life.
Well, to me, like the big thing with that, yeah, Xbox Live Gold and Halo 2, but
or I should
Halo
say most of my Xbox console life, because you're so quick to point out that I've had such a long life. Period.
I got, so my first Xbox, I got the original Xbox probably 6 months after it came out, and it was a graduation present from the 8th grade for me. And but yeah, I remember I was obsessed with Halo. I still kind of am, but I mean, like I remember played the first one over and over again. I was so stoked. Anything I could get my hands on having to do with Halo 2, like magazines, toys, whatever it was, I can get my hands on that would raise the hype level for Halo 2. I was all over that. I loved reading about it, loved looking at pictures. I was so stoked. And then yeah, Halo 2 came out. Found out you could play with friends on Xbox Live. So yeah, I remember the box was like, I don't know, is like the size of a collector set of DVDs, but it had the headset in it. But what really like got me on the Xbox Live Gold bus was the fact that like I can download new maps for Halo 2. That was it right there. And I was I was sold. Not granted, a lot of those maps weren't really that great, but I still, it was just the idea of downloading new content, and I was so happy to dish out the $12 it cost to
Wasn't
buy those
Terminal
maps.
one of those?
Terminal, there's like that weird desert one that had the diagonal slash through the middle. I don't remember. There's like a space one too that had like a big, there's like an arena that had like a big bright
Oh yeah,
lagoon shooting out in the
I remember
center.
getting all those updates too. So you said you got that for your 8th grade graduation?
No, Halo 2 didn't come out till the following November,
No, but the
but
Xbox Live, the box.
the Xbox Live, yeah, I got that in like July or August after my 8th grade graduation. So yeah, the same
Was that
around the same
last
time.
week? I got you back for all those old man jokes.
You did, yeah, yeah. I was the youngest 8th grader with a beard, so
There you go. But I'll tell you what, Xbox Live Gold, we have great memories, my friend. And it's just something that I'd like to see continue, but it's obviously something that they're going to go ahead and now change and think that is passe, and they're going to evolve it into something else. So it'll be interesting to see, though. And I want to ask you this, with what, 50 million plus Xbox One units that are out there, because they're still, yes, they are dropping the digital versions of the consoles, but they're still selling the regular versions of the consoles, to the best of my knowledge. Why would you drop Xbox Live Gold if, obviously for something else, for a new console, that's fine, but you're intentionally trying to shut off the individuals that have your Xbox 360, the Xbox One right now, that still have it. I'm a little bit concerned that they're doing this a little bit too soon. Yes, you could still go buy for 1 and 3 month subscriptions, but to me, I understand this trying to force you into Xbox Series X, but is that really a smart move?
I don't know. I feel like this is not just, they're shutting down Golden. It's not just for the Xbox Series X. I think they've been planning this for a while. Maybe there's some kind of like complete overhaul they're doing, because people are still buying Xbox 360. So I mean, I don't see them creating a system where they're like, well, you have an Xbox One, Xbox 360, you're kind of screwed there. Like, I don't see them creating something like that. I see them like creating a service that's going to expand across all of the Xboxes. And it feels like this is, because this is a big service and this is a big thing, because all of their live thing, and that's another thing. I hope that whatever this new thing is, your previous purchases will transfer over to it. But like, this is a big move. So they're planning something, a complete overhaul of the system, a new operating system, so to speak. The Windows 10 for Xbox or whatever it might be. Like, there's something going on here, and I think they've been working on it for a while. But I don't see Microsoft being a company that leaves people who own older consoles high and dry.
I hope not. And you and I both know that, well, like you said, Xbox is going to be having the announcement this week. They're going to have their press conference this week. Is that correct?
Yes, it's on Thursday. It's supposed to be some cool things going on.
Some cool things that we're going to have to report on for the Friday show then. If that's the case, that's going to be great for us. But if that's the case, I think there's going to be hopefully an announcement for a new successor for this Xbox Live Gold. And like you said, how it will not only embrace the Xbox Series X, but still be able to go ahead and support Xbox One and even Xbox 360 owners, hopefully going forward, that won't be able to drop $500, $600, whatever the cost will be for the new Xbox Series X right away. So that's what I'm hoping, that's going to be the case, that, like you said, they won't leave those older customers high and dry. What are your thoughts out there on the possibly impending death of Xbox Live Gold? I enjoyed the free games with the service. I obviously enjoyed the fact that you could go ahead and get so many bonuses from it. And of course, the fact that you could go ahead and play multiplayer because of it. But Xbox looks like they're going to be doing something different in the not too distant future. What are your thoughts on the possibility of Xbox Live Gold going away? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Pop Culture Cosmos on TikTok as well. My friend, there's still more to talk about. Before we hit up Noe and Fine and his thoughts on the latest Paper Mario, want to get in this real quick. Old Guard. The Old Guard, starring Charlize Theron, who we were just talking about earlier in the show, as far as her upcoming panel on being a badass. She was a badass, all right, in The Old Guard. It's out now on Netflix. A lot of people are enjoying it. And in fact, if you go ahead and take a look at some of the stats that Netflix just threw out there, which they don't do too often, as you're looking on Facebook Live, you're seeing it on the screen right now. These are the original movies that they have and how many people have seen these films in their first 4 weeks. You see Extraction with Chris Hemsworth, and you and I talked about that and mentioned that before, that this is the first real big hit for Chris Hemsworth that's not named Thor or any part of Avengers or Marvel Cinematic Universe. This has been a huge hit for him, Extraction, with 99 million viewers in the first 4 weeks. Bird Box, that came out to a big hullabaloo back in the day, not too long, about a little over a year and a half, just before December, I think December 2018,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
they just announced a sequel to Bird Box too. I guess
Yeah.
it's going into
Well, with
production.
Well, with 89 million people seeing it in the first 4 weeks, wouldn't you make a sequel?
I would, but I don't know how. Like with the way the movie ended, I don't know how they're going to do that. So hopefully, it's clever.
I hope so too. Spencer Confidential, 85 million. Six Underground, 83 million. Murder Mystery with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston, 73 million. Six Underground had, of course, Ryan Reynolds in there. The Irishman, the one that we talked about for so long, about being an Oscar contender with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and Joe Pesci, that's 64 million. Triple Frontier with Ben Affleck and a lot of other stars in it, 63 million. The Wrong Missy at 59 million. The Platform at 56 million. And The Perfect Date at 48 million. Some really big views there. But The Old Guard, which is still not even finished with its 4 week run, is already at 75 million. So it will be somewhere very high on this list. And that's a big win for Charlize Theron and possibly the future of that being a series or an IP that could continue going forward. So when you see these kind of numbers and The Old Guard getting pretty decent reviews, it's not getting super tremendous reviews. It just shows you that you don't need those super tremendous reviews for Netflix original movies, because as I mentioned there, they're either somewhat lowbrow comedies or really just popcorn action flicks for the most part when you're looking at that top 10. So I want to hear your thoughts on that as far as Netflix original movies. Is that what you're expecting, what you look forward to as far as just going ahead and getting those basic action or comedy genre type deals when you watch Netflix original movies? Because they certainly seem to be supporting itself on that platform.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember if we spoke about this, but I think that Netflix is a great place to do an action film. Especially like if it's not franchise based, it's probably not going to succeed in theaters anymore, just because that's the new landscape, right?
Yeah.
And, unless you're Christopher Nolan, but the Netflix is a great place to experiment with things. It's a great place to do a movie like Ryan Reynolds' Six Underground. Like a lot of this stuff, Extraction was the one with Oscar Isaac and Charlie Hunnam.
That was Triple Frontier. That one is still on the top 10 list. Yeah.
Yeah, these movies that you don't necessarily know are going to do well. Like this is a great place to really experiment with things because, yeah, it costs money to make them, but you're not. You have people who are not paying $20 a ticket, and they will sit down and watch it. People will. With my knowledge, my knowledge of movies has taught me this: that people will consume anything at the right price. $12 a month is the right price for an over-the-top action film.
Absolutely. So it seems like it's something that a lot of people want to see. And with Netflix closing in by the end of the year, 200 million viewers or 200 million subscribers, excuse me, it looks like it's going to be something that the plate is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to go and check out. The action thrillers, the comedies, even the drama movies that are there. I mean, there was obviously The Irishman was the big notable of it, and even that has scored in the top 10. I don't see The Five Bloods yet. I'm hoping that will also land on the list at some point in time, because that was also a very acclaimed film from Spike Lee. So I'm hoping that will go ahead and land on the list at some point in time when they update it. But my friend, there's still a lot of people out there that want to see these type of films on Netflix. And you're right, it seems to be a great platform for it.
Yes. Also, listeners, if you're into stock markets, everyone's predicting that Netflix is going to do really well in the coming months. So, do the Robinhood app, invest $1, Cash App, whatever you use, $1, $2, like you could see, pretty decent return on that stuff. But Netflix, there's a lot of analysts and even like entertainment writers are predicting big things, like big announcements, more shows, more content, stuff like that. So Netflix they seem to have a future for them.
And you could have gotten that for $1.
For $1. But no, I mean, whether or not you invest, like people are saying that, the Netflix productions are just going to get better and better. So, I mean, even keeping that $12 a month subscription it seems like a pretty good investment at this point.
And the budgets are becoming larger and larger. But the thing is, with Netflix, they can still improve their stock, yet report massive losses. They're one of the few companies that can report that they've got a lot of debt, they've got a lot of losses, but
yeah,
heck, as long as that subscription base keeps rising, things are
right. Well, they did the Amazon model, right? Where like you're in debt for so many years, and then finally you're supposed to start turning a profit. I think it was 2022 or 2023 where they reported that they are actually going to start turning a profit. And at that point, it probably would be smart to have stock in them. And, this is a good time to buy because the stock prices are relatively low for them.
No insider trading there. So if the SEC comes knocking on your door, just tell them Josh at the Pop Culture Cosmos sent you. It's no insider trading, no insider information there.
Let me show you my login info for Robinhood.
No, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. What are your thoughts on The Old Guard? Have you enjoyed it? I know a lot of people have been watching it. It's already on its way to being at a high place on the Netflix all-time top 10 for original movies. What are your thoughts on The Old Guard? We'd love to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, and of course, Pop Culture Cosmos, wherever you get social media. And please, if you can send us out some of those stars, we would always truly appreciate it as well. Coming up next is No Ian Fine. He's going to go ahead and drop some knowledge on the latest Paper Mario, and then Josh and I are going to close out the show on free TV. Could it be the return of free TV coming up in our near future? We're going to talk about that coming up in a sec. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to thank Noe Ian Fine for stopping by with his knowledge on the latest Paper Mario. You can go ahead and check out what he's doing today at Honey Queen or also the Honey Outcasts. My friend, before we head on out, I want to go ahead and talk to you about you actually brought this up to me, and you did it in an unknowing way. When you were talking about on the last Friday show, the PC Multiverse, you were talking about how you just cannot afford Peacock because it's just one more subscription service that you would have to pay and get into. And the frustrations are you might want to check out the free stuff that they have to offer because they have a free tier. And I want to clarify, Peacock did come out last week with a free tier, a $4.99 tier, and a $9.99 tier. And the $9.99 is the ultimate premium where you get everything that they have to offer with no ads. $4.99, you get a lot of things that they offer with ads. That's ad supported. And then the free is they give you what they want to give you, and it's all ad supported. But when it comes to what they have, they're showing a lot of movies that are ad supported, including the Matrix movies, I think Jurassic Park 3, if memory serves, the Fletch movies, the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. There were a lot of quality movies that are on the list for free that you can get there with just ad supported. which got me into thinking with Crackle, Pluto TV also making a name for itself and being recently purchased by CBS Viacom. So CBS will be starting they'll be sending some love that way because we are not sure what's going to go on with CBS All Access going forward. There's some outlets there now that people can go ahead and check out for free. Now, mind you, it's just going to be like the old, like what you're watching now on broadcast television because it's going to be ad supported. But you do that on YouTube anyways for the most part. So I want to hear your thoughts, my friend, on possibly the rise and return of free TV in a streaming format because people would get just so frustrated with having to buy so many different streaming channels.
It's interesting you say that because I still pay for Hulu and I have to watch like 10 minutes of commercials for every 20 minutes I watch on there. But, it's I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just like at that point though, like I know a majority of people say they do streaming services because they don't have to watch commercials, and at that point, like why turn to streaming services? Why not just keep your cable package? And that's that's the big question there that I'd like to have answered. But I think it's a viable option, and it just if you have something that somebody wants to watch, though, I don't think they're going to have a problem paying that $10 a month until they're done watching it. Like Peacock they just adapted Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and like I'm fascinated. Maybe I'll check that out to watch that show. But
would you get it the
I don't know,
$4.99 tier, which is ad supported, or would you get the $9.99?
No. I would do the $9.99 one until until I was done, and then I'd probably cancel it until there's something else I wanted to watch. But I feel like paying for a streaming service, if I'm paying that the $4.99 tier and I'm still having to see like a butt ton of commercials, I don't know if that's something I'd be interested in. If I was paying, if it was free and I still got access to a lot of things, had to watch commercials, I guess I could cope with that. But
you've
I don't
had to cope with it. What, all the years of your life watching broadcast?
Yeah, right. But I mean, like as far as like if I'm paying anything, really, even if I was paying $3, I wouldn't want to watch a ton of commercials. Like if they did every 45 minutes there were 2 commercials, that could be fine. But if even at $4.99, like I wouldn't want commercials on there. And that's just me. I don't think that $4.99 is worth it.
And that's what you're going to probably see going forward if this works for Peacock is more streaming services doing that type of pay tier program where there is going to be ad supported. I know the WWE has looked into that quite a bit as far as that kind of option. And I know other services will as well in regards to possibly adding a tier where it's ad supported. For me, like I said, I don't mind the free TV option. I think that's pretty cool. Ad supported. I've been watching commercials my whole life. I can just go ahead and look at something else instead of the commercials if I don't like it. So just like I do now in real life, if I don't like the commercial, I'll either turn the channel, turn away, or turn the other tab. Or now we have the option of going out and watching it on our computers. And if you have the right streaming services, because not all streaming services like HBO Max and also Peacock, which I think is a problem, are not out yet on the big screen. You can't go ahead and put it on your Roku or your Amazon Fire, that you can't go ahead and put it on there yet. That's a problem that they're going to have to try and solve and get around. But for the most part, you can go ahead, if you don't like the ads, you can just ignore it, do another tab, things of that nature. So I don't know. I don't have as big an issue with going ahead and watching these free TV services. And I have a feeling they're in the future, because if you're going to go ahead and have to pay more for Disney Plus, which is now ahead on viewers as Hulu, even though Hulu had a extensive start on that. You can go up Netflix, you can go HBO Max, you can go full on Peacock, the whole 9 yards as far as the streaming service is concerned. Apple Plus, Amazon Prime, I could just go on and on and on. It's going to be hard for people to go ahead and continue to pay for that service and that service and that service. And as the total starts getting 30, 40, 50, 60, $70 for all these different streaming services, a lot of people might revert back and say, you know what, maybe I don't like the stuff that's going on broadcast stations, but maybe there's enough out there that's free that I can enjoy on streaming services that are out there. I'll just watch the ads and have no problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of customers for something like that, and it's actually fairly clever marketing because you could even fill those commercial slots with your premium content, and then people will be like, oh, maybe if I've seen this commercial 30 times while watching The Matrix, maybe I do want to see this show, and they'll end up paying the $10 they need to watch it. I don't know. It's just like it depends, and like most of I have to look at the content list, but I mean, if there's something that I want to watch bad enough, sure, I'll watch it with commercials.
And the thing is, with Peacock, they've been very smart about how they go about it. The level that's free, they mainly put movies out there. They didn't put shows really too much from what I'm seeing on the listing, but the Matrix movies, the Jurassic Park 3 that's out there, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. There's a quality lineup of movies that they put out there. They didn't put too many shows, like I said, on this free tier, but they put out a lot of quality movies that, like you said, will probably be full of ads for sponsors, but will also be full of ads that will try and entice you to their different pay tier programs. So it's interesting to see how this will work out for Peacock. Again, they're kind of on the fence whether or not they're going to be a big player in the industry or not, because we're not sure, based on original content or based on the things that they have, whether or not long term that they will go ahead and be a player with HBO Max and Apple Plus and Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus, and the list goes on seemingly. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. But as these prices for all these things going forward get higher, as inevitably they will, it's going to make a lot of people think, you know what, I'll either go back to broadcast TV or I might switch to these free streaming services and just take what they got. What are your thoughts out there on free TV services that are out there, like Pluto TV, Crackle, also as well the free pay tier or the free tier for Peacock? Does this interest you greatly? And do you think, with the frustration that might set in as far as paying for all these streaming services, do you think this is a route you'll take, reverting back to the way it once was when there was just free TV? What are your thoughts out there on that? Please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. Cannot thank you enough for hanging out with me again. Even though I got that shot in you earlier, it's actually kind of funny, and I kind of enjoyed it.
I'm too young. What can I say? That should be my tag here, Young Josh.
I
accept it. I accept the title.
You recently had a birthday, man. You're not as old as you think. Well, but I tell you what, my friend.
32 is the new 22 is what the magazines always say. So
then what's the new 51?
I'll deal. 12. It's
okay, fair enough. But any last thoughts on the way out?
No, I mean, if you guys, I probably won't have time to check out a lot of the Comic-Con content, but if any of you listeners out there want to take a look and send us an email at popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, I would honestly love to know your thoughts on it. But yeah.
We'll be reporting all the major news, the major events, the major trailers on our Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page. So please like us and follow us there. Again, on any of our streams, if you go ahead and send us some love on the stars, we truly appreciate it. Again, or subscribe to us. Anything you can do to support our show, either on Podbean or outlets or here on Facebook Live, anything that we do, YouTube, we just truly appreciate you going ahead and supporting us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great